There's a couple of things I need to ask you on the crossfire.
Okay. I'm getting there. I'm nearly there. Nearly there. So go back to Zoom. Um, Looks like it's the two of us once again. So you've got all the time in the world to ask the questions.
Right.
So share screen. You should be able to see my
Yeah.
anti chart. I've got a chart up for Euro USD. And if I just move it out the way, right? So you can see, I'm just going to go through my screen. I'm bearing in mind that there's a few people watch the recording afterwards, so just going to go through what I see on my screen right now. But if you've got any questions about anything that I'm covering, just
Yeah, this is to do with basically further setting up of it, that's all. I'm basically just applied everything to Euro USD. I've not done it with anything else.
yeah,
I'll tell you what I need, what I want to do, and then we can try and amend that. There's a
yeah,
few things I need to know where to save and what we did and from what we did the other day.
okay, all right. So let me start with what's on my screen at the minute, and um, as we get to a particular subject, I'll do it a bit more in depth. But this is basically for people watching the video. I've got a vertical white line, or it might be a cream line. I'm not quite sure. Running down at that point there, where my cursor is, where my arrow is, and that's marking the 1 o'clock 1 minute candle. And if you look down at the bottom here, it says the date and it says the time 1500. And that's because my broker is 2 hours ahead of me. So all the times on my chart are 2 hours ahead. So 1500, read 1300. That's the 1 minute candle. We've got when we get to 1315, you'll see another line, a vertical line appear. That'll be a green one. And you'll also see the trend lines appear in position. And basically what they're doing is they're taking the high point of that 15-minute space and looking left. And what it should be doing, if it was exactly copying what I used to do, would be to look left and find the nearest higher high. So if that point there was the highest point of these 15 1 minute candles, it would look across here and it would probably take that one. If not, it would take that one slightly higher, maybe even that one. But what it is currently doing is it's looking for the higher. Instead of looking for the nearest higher candle, it's actually going for the highest higher candle. So it would go to that top of that wick at the minute. That's something that we need to sort out in the next revision. It's just slight difference to what I would have done, but it's possible to rectify that. The same with the bottom. Now this one appears to be the lowest at the minute. We're not into the 15 minutes yet, but if that remains the lowest candle, I would look left and I would take it to that one or that one. What this trend line will do today is it'll look for the lowest lower candle. So I'm looking for the nearest lower candle. Oliver's programmed it to look for the lowest lower candle. So he will go right down there to the bottom, to the lowest low. As I say, we can't change that in our settings. That's something only Oliver can change. But it does mean that this red trend line will be a lot steeper than it would be if I was trading manually, because my trend line would be coming from this point here and going slightly upwards. Oliver's will come down to this one. So that is a difference. But we're still able to get trades. Don't worry about that. Now, I've also got a red line here, and that is warning me that there is some news. And it's saying 15:30. It's actually 13:30. So that's a normal. It tells me there 15:30 Canadian dollar retail sales month on month. So I've got my settings to only take notice of high impact news. I ask it not to. I ask it to ignore medium impact news and low impact news. So that's the only news we have to be wary of. Now, I've got my settings so that it won't get me into a trade once we get to 10 minutes to 1:30, and it won't get into a trade until 10 minutes after the 1:30. If I'm already in a trade when that 10 minutes begins, it'll keep me in the trade. It won't take me out. So you have to think about whether you want the setting of, well, I've got mine at 10 minutes before and 10 minutes after. Do you want to increase that time to 15 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever? But just for testing purposes, 10 minutes is working fine. So that's what I've got on my screen right now. It's saying out of session, and that's because we have to wait until the 13:15 candle, and then it'll draw the trend line. So it's exactly as I used to do it. We used to take it on the 15-minute candle and take the highest point. We've actually got 15 1-minute candles here. So it won't say looking for trades until 15 minutes past 1, and then it'll give you a bit more information. I've got my trade risk set at 0.25%, and that's because I'm actually looking at 4 pairs. So it has potential to get me into 4 trades at the same time, and therefore my maximum loss would be 1%. I'm looking for 1 to 2, that's the risk reward of 2. So on each of those 4 pairs, I could potentially get 0.5%. So maximum I could win would be 2%. Now, I'm a little bit concerned about the fact that this trading assistant has the capacity to get me into all 4 trades at the same time. I'm not comfortable with that. The more I think about it, the more I'm not in love with it. I think we should be able to have some kind of control. When I do this manually, when I'm trading manually, I take the first trade that comes along, and I don't get into a second trade until that trade is closed under normal circumstances. So my exposure is just 1 trade at a time. So I can afford to increase my risk on that 1 trade. There have been occasions when I've taken 2 trades at a time, but I've always avoided duplication. So if I was in Euro US, I wouldn't want to get into Euro CAD, and I wouldn't want to get into GBP US, because those would both be duplicating one of the currencies on the pair. So I would only be able to get into Euro USD and GBP CAD, and I'm seriously looking at asking Oliver if there's any way that he can control that. It is possible to control it if you're using this system and you're trading manually, because what you could do, I'll just go onto this. If I put the navigator window on, so what I did there was I went to view, I clicked on view, got this drop down menu. I'm interested in navigator. Now these are the 4 pairs that I'm looking at, and if I got into a trade on Euro USD, I could actually come along here and stop the algo trading on the other 3 pairs. And the way that I would do that is I would just right click on the pair, and then I would untick. So the algo trading is not working on that pair, and I could go on to another pair, right click, untick the algo trading. So now, actually, I got the wrong one there, didn't I? I'll take this one off. I want the option to get in a trade on Euro US, but the only other pair that I'm interested in will be GBP CAD. That is one way of doing it, but it means that you need to be at your screen. And we're really trying to promote this trading assistant as something that you can set and forget if you like, if you're out at work or unable to sit at the chart. So that's not an ideal situation, but it is a system that I am testing out. I'm using. So basically, just to recap, if I'm in a trade on Euro USD, the only other pair I'm interested in potentially getting in will be GBP CAD. If I got in Euro CAD, the only trade I'd be potentially interested in would be GBP USD. So that is trying to replicate the way I would trade if I was trading without this trading assistant. I'm going to put these back on though, because we're in testing mode, and it really doesn't matter if I get, if I lose more than one trade. I'm not that bothered. I'm learning as I'm going along. But if I was doing this in real life, I would be concerned about the fact that I could potentially be taken into 2, 3, or 4 trades all at the same time, and that does slightly concern me. So what do I need to look at next? Whilst I'm looking at this navigator panel, what I've got and what you will need, what everybody will need on the in this panel for this to work is you will need the SFF Crossfire EA1 at the minute EA 1.04. That will be updated on the 1st of the 9th as things stands at the minute. We might actually get another revision before then. Oliver's working on a couple of things.
There's one quick thing on that crossfire there, Richard, on the that version there. You know how you've amended a lot of the there's quite a few things we amended
Yes,
on in that program.
yes,
Are they, because one that I've got on there, that where I've got it there, that's got some old settings on it. So
right,
what I've got on my screen now, I've done several different sorts of settings. I've changed them. So
yes,
how do I save it?
okay. What you so I need to right click on my screen. I'm just checking where we are time wise. Right, we're a minute away from the trend lines appearing. So if I right click on the screen and go to expert lists, click on expert lists, it'll bring up that these are the 4 crossfire pairs. I want to change them. Say I want to change them on Euro USD, I'd highlight that. If I wanted to change them on GBP USD, I would highlight that. So I can change one pair at a time. So what I need to do is go to properties. So I'll just start that process again. I right click on the chart. I click on expert list, and then I choose the pair that I want to make changes to. Then I click on properties, then you get that boxed out. If this box on your screen isn't filling the screen, you can actually stretch it. You can change it like that, and it may actually appear on your screen to be quite a small box.
Yeah.
All you need to do is hover over that top line, and it will give you a full screen.
Okay. I haven't, even though I've only done it on Euro USD, and you've got your list of, where you've got accounts, your demo, and you've got the 4 pairs.
Yeah.
I haven't saved anything. I don't think I've saved anything yet.
Do you have,
I haven't,
do you have,
I haven't got those four pairs on there. I've only got one, and I don't know whether that's in the demo account yet. So I don't know whether I've saved it into there. So that might be something we can do later.
okay, well, let me just close that. If, if I close that, I'll go back to the beginning. You need at least one pair on here, and I'm going to right click on that, and I'm going to remove, I'm going to take it back to, I'm going to unclick them all. Right, so that's probably replicating what you've got. You've got
Yeah,
the EA 104 under your expert advisors, and it should be
yeah,
blue. That should be blue,
yeah,
but you don't have any. Let me just, I just reduce these back to the basics. So that's the least number of things you can have on the navigator panel. If you press on the plus button here, it will give you FTM. Well, in my, I think in your case, you've got an FTMO demo account, haven't you? So if you click
yeah,
on the plus button there, it will give you your account number and confirm that it's a free trial and that I'm in US dollars for the trading currency.
yeah,
Um, Now, if I extend the indicators, I've got the no, sorry, I need to extend the expert advisor. I've got the Crossfire EA. Now, what I can do is I can drag this, click on that, and actually I don't want that. So click on that, and you can see I'm dragging it across to the screen. And if I um, just close that again, why isn't it coming on here? I want to drag this across and put it on there. All right, okay. So it's just come up with. I'm not sure if these are mine. No, these are not my settings, but it's given me a list of settings. If I
yeah,
click on OK for now, can you see how that has appeared under there?
yeah, yeah.
Do you want to try doing that and see if you can get that to work? I'll just have a sip
Uh,
of. I'm looking. I'm also looking at what's appearing on the screen.
Let me just check mine.
So basically, I just dragged it across, and when that settings pop up appeared, I just clicked OK. It's not OK. It's not correct, but it brings the it brings the trader, the expert advisor onto that chart.
Yeah, I've just checked mine. It's got because I've amended all the settings,
Yeah,
and it's actually on there. That's what it's got on there. It's just got SFF Crossfire, Euro USD M1
right. Okay.
with a blue hat. So that's under the free trial. That's what it's got on there. That
Yeah.
one.
Where my cursor is now, you've got exactly the same. It
Yeah,
just ignore what's on the screen because that isn't correct. We said it was okay, but it's not okay.
yeah. I've actually amended all my settings to what we were talking about the other day. So they've all been amended to like the 0.25%, etc.
Okay.
Um, how does that save that then? Does it without having to load it all again?
Right.
I've got three other charts to make up, you see,
Yeah.
which is I'm going to deal with the four that you've got. I'm only doing Euro USD. I'm not doing the morning pairs. I'm doing the afternoon pairs.
Okay. Well, I'll go through that. I'll go through that. We've got 40 minutes, so I can go through that as slowly as you want. So we'll look at this at the minute. Let's say I haven't I have let's I haven't saved my settings. I've saved the ones that that appeared on the screen. So I've got these fair value gaps, which I don't want, I don't need them. And I've also got here, I've got the whole average, sorry, no, that's my trend line. Yeah, so I'm just going to take off the navigator panel for now. We'll come back to that. So I'll get rid of the navigator panel. Then I've got a bigger screen. Basically, I need to make adjustments for all my settings. So this is giving me probably Oliver's settings. I'm not quite sure, but we have the
Yeah, it
capacity
is.
to change them. But before I do that, can you see how in that 15-minute gap, so that was the 1 o'clock candle, that was the 1:15 candle. The highest point in that 15 minutes was right there where my arrow is on that candle there. And because there was no, well, it seems to have, I would have, personally, I would have taken that, I would have extended it, and I would have taken it to there, because what I do is I think that's the highest point. I'm looking left for the nearest higher point, and that is the nearest higher point. So that's where Oliver and I have got a mismatch, but we can sort that. But basically, it's put on a horizontal green trend line, and we've also got the red trend line, which is going from the lowest point. So that was the lowest point in that 15-minute space. It looked left and it's gone for the lowest low. I would have gone, personally, I would have gone to the nearest low, which would have been that one there. So that's something we need to sort out. We now in we are looking for a sell signal, but we're not trading because we're too close to the news. I asked it to not to get into trades 10 minutes before the news. So from 1 until 20 to 2, it won't get me into a trade, and that's protection from the news. It looks as if I'm missing an opportunity because there's quite a strong sell going on there, but I don't want to be in a trade when we get to 1:30, because anything can happen. So the reason it's looking for a sell signal is because we're below. Remember when I always used to say, is it above the green trend line or is it below the red trend line? Well, it's obviously below the red trend line. So I'm thinking sell. So that's why it's saying I'm looking for a sell signal. It's looking at the Heiken-Ashes. So it's looked at the trend line and said number 1 is ticked off as a sell. It's then looking at the Heiken-Ashes, and they've changed color. These are the Heiken-Ashes candles. They were green, and at that point they changed to red. So it's saying I'm definitely looking for a sell. The next thing it looks for is the moving averages. And it's saying if I'm looking for a sell, I need price to be below the 200 moving average, which is that white line. I also need the 62 to be below the 200, which it is, and I need the 13 to be below the 62, which it is. So if it wasn't for the news, we would definitely have got into a trade. Probably not on that candle. It would have waited until the 13 got below the. So it would have got me in on that. Well, that's a Heiken-Ashes. It would have got me in somewhere around here, and I would be in for a sell. And it's supported. All of that thinking is supported by the Wada Atta, and you might struggle to see. I can just barely see it. There's an orange dashed line, which is the dead zone line, and there's a blue line, which is the explosion line, and the explosion line is
See them.
moving up there. So it's ideal for getting in for a sell trade because the histogram is way above the blue line, and the blue line is pointing away from. So if we weren't so close to the news, I'd be happy to be in there. But I have found to my detriment that if you're trading across the news, you can either make a big killing or you can make a big loss. That's not my style. Well, I don't mind making a big killing, but I don't want to risk making a big loss. So I'm happy to wait until 10 minutes after the news. The only other thing I haven't mentioned so far is this pips thing, which when I get into a trade, it tells me this will change to red lettering and it will tell me how many pips I am either in profit, in which case there'll be blue, or in drawdown, in which case it'll be red. This is the number of points. I was looking for that word last Tuesday. This is not 3 pips or 2 pips. This is 2 points, so 2/10 of a pip, and that's the broker spread as it stands. And you'll see it changes. Euro US has got the lowest spread of all the pairs, and it's a low spread most of the day. It does increase a little bit, but not by an awful lot. And then this third part is the countdown. So that's 32, that's 29 seconds left on this candle. It's not running smoothly at the moment. It doesn't run. Sometimes it will miss out, but that is 1918. You see, it sometimes sticks a little bit, but it gives you a rough idea of how long you've got to wait for the next candle. And the other thing that I need to point out is, because we're not trading, we're avoiding the news. You need this little panel here, which is all the numbers from this panel here, and this is currently saying no trade. It's WAE, no trade, and that's because the histogram has changed color. It's changed from a dark red to an orange, and they've started to step down. So that would tell me not to get in if I was trading manually, and that is what this is saying. You shouldn't be getting in. Now, if I was already in a trade, I tend not to take a lot of notice of this, and this is programmed to do the same. It says once you're in a trade, you'll stay in the trade until you choose to come out. The fact that it says no trade up there doesn't affect the trade that you're already in. But what you do need is some numbers. Each of the colors for the histogram has got a number. I think it's 0, 1, 2, and 3. Then you need some values in there. If you don't have the values, and again, this is for the benefit of people watching the replay, if you don't have values in there, then you don't have a connection between your water atta panel and your chart. Now, one other thing just to mention before I go into the settings, if you hover on that white line there, it will come up and it will say click and drag the border of the window, and I can hold my mouse down and just move it up or down. I prefer it round about that sort of level, but that's just a personal thing. Any questions on anything I've talked about so far? I'm not sure I've explained everything properly, but if I have, I'll move on.
Yeah, that's all good. What I was wondering, Richard, was that once that's what we were on about before, is if that was your chart and all the settings were correct,
Yeah.
including the water atom and everything was there on Euro USD, how would you save that? Is there a way of saving it?
That's
So you don't have to put in the all the figures all again.
Yeah, okay. I'll go through that. There's two aspects to that. So I'm just going to go through one pair at the minute. So this is my pair. If I right click on anywhere on the chart, try that again, didn't work. Right click on the chart. First of all, I'm looking for the expert list. And this is what I'll get when I click on that on this, because I've just just put this EA onto that chart, it's given me the list, as we say, out straight out the box. So if I click on expert list, because I've only got Euro USD now, it's only offering me one option. Now I can either, well, you don't want to remove it at this stage, but if you want to take it off a pair, you can remove everything. Basically, you're taking the EA off that chart, so you don't want to do that right now. What you need to do is click on properties, and it'll give you that box. Now, I've just put this on. You saw me put that on, so it's not the settings that I want. These are probably the settings that Oliver put on when he wrote the program. So, as I say, one thing that you can do to make it bigger, if it comes up on your screen as a small box, maybe it's centrally a little box, you can enlarge it by just hovering over the top edge. I think you can do it this way as well. Yeah, you can do it that way. So you can make it as big or small as you want it to. Because sometimes if I ask people to send me a copy of their inputs, this is called inputs. If I ask them to send me a screenshot of their inputs, they send me it with a tiny little box, and they have to send 5 or 6 screen grabs, whereas you could get away with, I think, maybe 2. If I go down to the bottom, yeah, you might need to send 3 because there's an awful lot of settings on this. Oliver has already said he's going to be able to condense those. He's going to be able to get rid of some of them and make it a little less tedious. So, right, first thing to talk about is this comment, the tab here saying comment, and if you go down to the bottom, it says allow algo trading. When you first, I think the first time you load the EA onto your chart, it's possible that this might be unticked, and so you need to tick it. You need to check it, and then go to your inputs and just work through one by one. Now, if you've Gary, if you've already set up your settings and you want to apply them to a chart, I've already got my settings saved. Now, if I want to load my settings, I just click on load, and it offers me, these are all my different settings. I can get rid of some of these because I want the latest one. So the latest Crossfire PM set is I did on the 20th of August. I haven't done I haven't changed them since that date. I don't think. I'll just go back. So 20th of August with an A after it is the latest. There's nothing else down there. So if I click on CF 2008A on the PM, that'll give me my settings. You can see it appears down here. And if I say open, it'll now give me my settings. I know that these are my settings because previously that was 1. The risk of balance per trade was 1, and I don't want that. I want 0.25. So that's some settings that I did before. Let me just show you something. Let me change that. So how did I do that? I'll come off that. I'll go back to that. Right. So I just click on that once, and then I double click, and it allows me to change it. So I can change that to 0.33. This is just so that I can double check that it's giving me the right list. So if I say, right, I've made the version that I've saved before was 2008A with a PM after it. If I just go down there, right, okay. But I can move around, but let's say I've done all the changes and I want to save them, um, because I want to be able to apply this list of settings onto other charts. So I might want to load up GBP USD next, and to save me changing the settings each time, I can save these settings by clicking save, and I have to give it a name. So can you see down here where it says asterisk
Yeah.
set? I delete that, and I'm going to put I'll call it something that stands out. Testing, and I'll now save that, and it will, if I'm actually, it's, where is it? Yeah, there we go. So risk, that's the only thing I changed. I changed it from 0.25 to 0.33. If I want to change it again, I can load, and it'll give me all the options. I can go back to 2008 PM set, click on that, it appears down here, and I open it, and it's reverted back to 0.25. So I can make all of my changes, and when I'm satisfied with the changes, I click load. No, sorry, I don't. I click save, and I give it a name, and then I can
Yeah.
go back to that every time.
Okay.
Now, if you've got, so just to go over that again, if I'm not happy with 0.25 and I want to go back to 0.33, I would click load, and I would find it was called test, I believe.
Yeah.
Where is that? I can't see. Oh, yeah, testing. There we go. So I click on that, and there we go. Let me just go back over that. So I want to load testing. I've got it in the box down here, so I can open it, and it'll take me back to 0.33.
Okay. Yeah, I've got that. So I've got to create three more. I can do this in my time. I need to create three more charts for the afternoon
Right.
pairs.
Well,
What the only
I'll do that for you now.
okay.
I'll do at least
Because it's
one.
the magic number I need to make sure that I've changed the magic number on the Euro USD.
Yeah,
So providing I've saved that, which I have done, I can apply that to all the other three charts. Yeah.
yeah. I'm just going back to where I was. I want one that's got 0.25. So that's the 20th of August PM. And I open that, and that's so this is my list of settings that I was using. So I'll go through this. Use the risk percent fallout calculation is true. I'm choosing to risk 0.25 on the basis that I might end up with four trades, and that if I lost all four, that would lose me 1%. I want a risk to reward of 1 to 2. Enter loss is always 0.1, I believe. The number of pips stop loss, I'm working on 3. The number of pips take profit, I'm working on 6. The risk to reward actually overrides that. So if I make a mistake and I put 8 in there, it'll still take me out at 6 because I'm looking for you need your risk to reward to be 2. Well, if you look,
Are you finding that the stop loss of 3 pips is enough? I was
I'm,
talking to somebody today from Finitive, and I mean, basically with this market at the moment and the way they're moving up and down and sideways movement, it just don't seem high enough. I don't know.
well, that's something you can test. You can keep changing it and see what works. Um, I I've got two sets of two lots of settings. I've got one for the AM and I've got one for the PM. The PM, I'm getting away with 3 pips. The AM session, I'm having to go to 4. I'm seriously thinking about going to 5. Because sometimes it works on 4, sometimes it doesn't work on 4. It's something that I'm still testing. If you're comfortable with 3, by all means. If not, then move it up to 4, possibly 5. If you want a risk of 1 to 2, whatever you put in there needs to be doubled in there. It's already overridden anyway, because you're telling it you want to make 1 to 2. So on the afternoon session, I'm comfortable with 3, but there's nothing to stop you changing it to 4, so long as you also change your take profit to 8. That's something that I can't tell you what to do there. You need to try it out.
Yeah.
I think on the afternoon session, 3 and 6 is fine. The magic number is any number you want. I don't think it even needs to be a 6-figure number, but it just needs to be a unique number. So basically, on all 4 afternoon pairs, I'm using this same magic number. On the 4 morning pairs, I use a different magic number, so that I'm trading those 4 pairs separately. I'm on the comment. You can put anything. This is just so I can remember. This is my afternoon crossfire session. The 35 seems to work okay as far as, and that all that does is it leaves your current candle is pretty close to your lettering here, but it tends not to encroach on it. But you can move it. You can change that to 50 if you want. Send alerts when placed, I've got true. So I always get a sound when it takes me into a trade. Expert properties. Now this is something else that I'm playing with. I'm putting this on true, and on the afternoon session, I'm asking the trading assistant not to get me in a trade if the spread is 2 or more. So it'll take me into a trade at a maximum of 2 pips. If it's 2.1, well, I mean, you can see we're currently on 0.2. So we've got an awful lot of leeway. On the other 3 afternoon pairs, it'll be more, but not. It might be 1.4 instead of 4. It'll still be less than 2. It very rarely goes above 2 in the afternoon session. But if you want to play with it, and I've done it on the morning session, I've clicked on, if you right click on that, then double click, you can change that to 3 if you want. On the morning session, I'm finding 3 is better, but the afternoon session 2 is fine. So I'm saying that my maximum spread pips 2. That's correct. Daily loss protection, and this is all about the basket. So the 4 afternoon pairs have all got the same magic number, so they're all in one basket. So I'm saying the biggest loss I want to make in a session, in this particular session, is 2%. 2% of whatever my balance is at the start of the day. And I'm saying that the maximum profit I want to make is 4%. In other words, if I get to the point where I'm losing 2%, it'll close me down. And if I get to the point where I'm making 4%, it'll also close me down, because I've got this. This is saying true. If I don't want that to happen, I can right click, double click, and it changes to false. But I like that protection, so I'm going to change it back to true. I think that is quite important. It stops you losing any more than 2% in any session. what you can do is if it closes you down, if you lose 2% in a session, but you still want to test, you can come back here and you can change that to 4%, and it'll let you back in again. So you can override it at any time. Partial close settings, I haven't altered at all. I'm leaving that till the last thing I'm going to test. I think it could be useful if you're in a trade and you want to take part of your profits and leave the rest of your trade running. That's a good way of trading, but I'm leaving that for now. I've got show calendar true, and I've got stop trading during news true, and I'm asking it to stop trading 10 minutes before and 10 minutes after. And if I right click on that and then double click, it gives me a drop down menu here, and I can ask it to keep me out of trades around high importance news, which is my setting, or you could go for moderate, or you could go for low, or you could go for none. I think I'm happy with moderate, so I'm happy with high. It'll keep you out of danger. Now here I haven't changed any of these. The one thing I have changed is this 100. When it came out of the box, it was 120, and that is how many minutes you want me to trade, and it was 120. So that was set up for 6 till 8 or 1 till 3, 2 hours. I've changed it. It still starts at 1 o'clock, but I like it to go on till 4 o'clock. So I've changed that to 180 minutes. The line width, I need to adjust these because the red and the green trend lines, sometimes you can't see them. So I'll try it now. It was 2. I'm going to make it 4. I'll just see how that affects it in a minute. Trading time, I think I need to change that. Well, basically, I need to mention this first. This is the start of this morning session, 6 o'clock, and I've got this set at 3 hours, so it'll go until 9 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and it'll go until 4 o'clock, which means you need to ignore these numbers here. This is saying we're in session between 6 and 8 and between 1 and 3. We're not. We're in session until 4 and until 9 o'clock. That's just a little thing that Oliver needs to change. So I've got 2 sessions, one starting at 6, one starting at 1. I probably don't want it to trade on a Sunday. So I'm just going to double click and change that. Just double click on that and make that false. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, session close. Yeah, I put that true because I don't want to take any trades over the weekend. Summertime settings, you need to be on European summertime. If you click on that, you get a drop-down menu and it gives you a USA summertime. You need to stay on Europe. I've got this set so that again, if I highlight that and double click on exit on HA change, it gives you a drop down menu, and you can have it on HA change, or you can have it to exit when it reaches your take profit. I prefer the HA change, so it gets me out before it reaches if it changes direction, it takes me out automatically rather than wait until it goes completely the wrong way. So I quite like that. Paul's been experimenting with leaving it on none. I feel more comfortable with that on. High Kanashi settings, that was as it came out of the box. These 2 numbers here were different. I've changed them to 20, and basically what that is these Heiken-Ashi candles, if they change, it looks back. Sorry, if it's trying to get you into say a cell, it would look back and see how long it is since the wave changed from green to red. And I'm saying you can only look back 20, because if it's more than 20 candles backwards, it's probably not a relevant change. Remember, we used to look at the wave up and the wave down. That's the same thing. So that when the wave down occurred, which will be there, if that was more than 20 candles away, I don't want it to get me in. That's something you can change. I'm seriously thinking about increasing that a little bit, but currently I've got it on 20. I've got the indicator showing that this is something I've changed. The FBG settings. I've put it on. You might have it on true. I clicked on it and changed it to false because I don't use. The EA doesn't recognize the F. It'll show it on your chart, but it doesn't take them into account when it's trading. So you don't need that. But what you do need is to make these two values 0, because otherwise it'll show you these big blocks, and you don't need to see them because you're not taking them into account. So keep those set at 0, and then I've changed my HMA. Well, no, the HMA was, again, that's the whole moving average. We don't want it to look at the whole moving averages. So I take it off the screen. That has no relevance to Crossfire. MA crossovers is relevant. I've got my MAs set on 13, 62, and 200. And then I think that was all I changed. So if I'm happy with all of those, I can't do it now because I will. No, well, I will. I'll save that and I'll put a new date on it. So I've changed all my settings. I'm happy with them. I'm gonna now type in there Crossfire. What's the date? 23:08 p.m. And I can save that. So those are all my settings that I've just put in. So anything I've changed is now and there. What I can do is I can then load. I can go back and I can say, right, I want the 23rd p.m. set. I can click on that. It appears in the box down there. I can ask it to open, and those are my settings. So I'm happy with that. So I just press OK. And you can see that those changes have been made because we had fair value gap thing showing here, and they're now not showing. So I'm going to go and do another pair in a minute. We've got a few minutes. So basically what I was saying about this Heiken-Ashi look back, I've got mine set. If it was, well, where are we? We're below the red trend line, so we're looking for sells. We're in a wave down, but will it get me into a trade? Because well, the reason it hasn't got me into a trade is because this is not a new wave down. There are more than 20 candles since it changed to a wave down. It changed on that candle there, and there are more than 20 candles. So it's just saying, because I've got the setting at 20, it's saying I'll not bother, because it's probably the relevance of the wave down, that will be a wave down signal on straightforward forward. That will be a wave up signal. That will be a wave down signal. And it's basically saying, yeah, we are in a wave down, but it changed too far away, too far back. Now I might change that. I might change my setting to 25 or 30, and then it would have taken me. It would have taken a trade. Actually, I don't know. I don't know why it didn't take a trade at that point. Well, yes, I do, because we were too near the news. That's right. So we were out of a trade. We couldn't get in a trade from sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we couldn't get in a trade from that point, and we couldn't get in a trade until 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that would be the earliest we could get in a trade. But look what's happening to price. It's actually coming. Well, the thing that kept us out was the Wada Atta. So it could have got us in for a trade if we asked if we hadn't asked it to keep us out because of news. But we use that as a safety thing. But the Wada Atta would have kept
You know the Wada Atta, Richard, how you've got it there, you can barely see your lines.
yeah.
If you amended that, is there any way of saving that as well?
That's a fair point. I've tried several times to save it, and it seems to go back to this default. That's something I've got on my list of things to mention to
Right. Okay.
Oliver.
Yeah, that's what I'm having to do, amend them every time.
Yeah, I think there must. There's probably a way. I just can't find it. Right. So let's try putting another chart on. So I'll go back to Navigator, and if I right. So I've actually got all 4 charts on, but let's say I want to put on right. So I've got the chart there, but as you can see, I haven't got the EA on GBP USD. So
Yeah.
if well, what you need to do is so you go to File and click on New Chart, and I want to click on GBP USD, and I click on that. You'll get on your screen what I've got there, but I don't have the EA on yet, so I just need to click on that and drag it across, and it's offering me the original settings. I don't want the original settings. So what I need to do is ask it to load, and I need to find my 23rd of August PM set, click on that, check that it appears in the box, and then ask it to open. And it's now reverted to my 0.25. These are all my settings here. I'll just do another check down there. Yeah, I changed that to 4, didn't I? So this is my new settings. So I can just click on OK, and it'll load it.
Okay.
So there's my vertical line to start the session. There's my 15-minute line. And there's the trading on here. So we've got the red trend line. It's a bit thicker than it was before, so something's changed. There's the green trend line. Moving averages. I can tidy this up a bit and move that down. But you can see there's no volume in the market. We're not going to get into a trade now. But can you see we've now got 2 pairs, and they've both got blue hats on.
So they'll remain there saved until such time as you remove them.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
If let's say the one I've just put it on, GBP USD, didn't have a blue hat, what I would do is I would right click on there, I would go to expert list, I would open the properties, and I would go to common, and I would check, because the reason for it would be that hadn't been ticked. That because I'm ticking it, it's a blue hat. But if you ever notice that you don't have all 4 blue hats, then come back in there and double check that.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you didn't, if you wanted, if you were on the afternoon session and you got all four there, where it was looking at them, and you didn't want, say, two of them to be being looked at, you'd just right click them and undo the algo
Yeah,
trading.
I would. So I'll do that now. I'm going to right click on GBP USD, and I'm going to remove. Well, I'm going to untick algo trading. So I've got
Okay.
algo trading for the other pair, but I don't have algo trading for that pair.
Yeah.
So I'll
Okay.
just put that back on. Just tick on there, and there you are, you've got a blue hat. So if I put all four on the same window, we've now got two where we're trading. Well, we're not actually trading just yet, but we've got the crossfire, but these two we don't have crossfire on.
Okay.
So all I need to do is pick it up from there, take it to there, make sure it's ticked, go to inputs. That's not my settings. So I want to load my settings. And it's ready. I need to load the latest one, which is 23:08 p.m. Click on that, double check it's in there, open, and now I've got my settings. So I just click OK. And there we go. So I've now got crossfire on 3. I've got 3 blue hats. I need to drag this one all the way across, put it on there. I'll check common. Yes, I've got algo trading. I go to inputs. That's not my set. I want to load my set. 23:08. Double check it's down there and open it. That is my set. I can click OK, and I've now got 4. They're all working together. They just haven't taken any trades, but that's not because it's not working. That's because there aren't any trading opportunities. If you just look at well, I'll go back to the water atter in a minute, but you can see that it's in the dead zone. It's in the dead zone. It's in the dead zone.
If this was real trading on a funded account, and yours, say it took GB CAD, would you then deactivate Euro CAD?
I can do, yeah. I can.
Would you say you only like to be in sort of a particular trade at a time?
I'm trying to replicate how I trade manually, and Paul and I have a slight difference of opinion, or a different style, if you like. Paul is sort of the opinion that we should be allowing it to trade all 4. There have been days when it's got me into 2 or 3 trades all at the same time, and I worry that I'm in too much danger. I'm taking too much risk. I think everybody's going to decide for themselves. I'm a bit concerned that there are people who are going to be looking at this as a way of, set it and forget it, and just leave it to do its own thing, and then they're not going to be able to do that. But I think I'm going to continue to do that. I think I don't think I'm ever going to want to be in 4 trades all at the same time.
No,
And
neither me neither.
I also think there might be a problem with if you're in a prop situation, some of their regulations might not allow you to be in.
The one definitive, when I've been on to the guy this morning, I've had a chat with the guy this morning, James, who's one of the representatives there, and I've gone through lots of things with him today regarding the EAs as well, which we've got to sort out. But I think one of theirs, the one I'm doing at the moment, is got, you can't, 4% in a day is the maximum there.
Yeah.
So you've got to be careful you don't get too close to that.
Yeah, that's right. You've got well, that's why I'm trading very carefully. I mean, even with 4 pairs, I've got 0.25 per pair, so the maximum I can lose in this session is 1%.
Yeah.
But because I'm doing the morning session as well, I can lose 1% in the morning. I can lose 1% in the afternoon. I'm still safe with the 4% a day, but do I, $100,000 account, do I really want to lose 2,000? I'm just a bit
No.
negative about that. But everybody will have to make their own minds up. But before you do, you're going to have to consider, because I saw Tommy was in the chat yesterday saying that he he thought he'd passed a funded account, and they're not paying him out because he opened the trade when he still hadn't closed the previous trade. There was something about he had overlapping trades, and they tried to get out of paying him. And you might need to. Well, I will definitely double check that before I get
Yeah.
involved in a
Yeah, I
live.
can check that. Yeah, I can check that. I'll check that as well.
And are they going to well, there's a number of issues, but the thing is, you need to practice and find out what settings are useful to you. What oh, I've just got in a trade. So euro
Yeah, I think.
euro
Yeah, well, mine would have done as well. I don't know.
so euro USD is this one.
Or is it,
So what I'm seeing is I've got a little marker there. I've got a little red arrow saying I'm in a cell. So it got me in.
uh,
Got I'll get rid of this.
yeah, mine's got me in mine's in the Euro USD cell now.
Yeah, same be the same as me. Um,
Yeah.
I'm at break even at the minute. I've just gone slightly draw down. It's thinking about pushing down, but I'm minus 0.1 pip. Um, I'm noticing that the spread is 0.3, 0.2, so it's nowhere near my limit. Um, just something that might be helpful if you click on. Oh, I'm in another trade now. I'm in GBP USD. This is what I mean about the danger. So I'm
Yeah,
in
well,
two.
I've only got it activated on the one, you see, and the maximum I'll be.
Yeah,
That's I don't want to do the morning pairs. I'm going to do the afternoon pairs, and try that
yeah,
for a bit. But then I can, because I'm monitoring it anyway. If it does get me into one trade, I'll probably just deactivate the other three.
yeah. Right. So I've got something on my screen which I find is helpful, and I've got there's a line across signifying the stop loss level, and there's a line which is out of shot. I'm just thinking,
Yeah,
right,
mine's got that on.
right. And if that doesn't appear when you're in a trade, if you right click and you know where we look for the expert list, you get a pop up with
Yeah,
the expert list. If you go further down, you've got something that says trade levels. And if you
yeah,
click on that, I've just clicked on it and they've both disappeared.
yeah.
So if I
Okay.
go back and click on it, uh, now they've reappeared. So I've got a green line where my entry point was, and I've got red line from a take profit and a red line from a. I just find that a bit that's handy, just to remind me where I'm standing. Now it looks like I'm currently down 2.3 pips. Bearing in mind that my stop loss is 3 pips, not a good situation to be in.
No, it's in. Oh, it's getting close, isn't it? Right. Okay.
Yeah, okay, it's getting close. Now your broker spread is sort of 0.3. That sort of increases your moves your stop loss slightly upwards because of it got to take into account the spread. But I mean, but basically, I wouldn't worry about whether you win or lose on that. What we've achieved is you've got a working EA. We know it works.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah. It is. I think that this is. I think this is just the market at the moment where it's just seemed to be moving sideways. And when I was talking about the minimum pips, they can wipe some of these candles. They can wipe them out in one candle.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's just. But I'm just learning that. I mean, we've got our views on the things this morning when we were talking about it with regards to the volume of the market, the time that this particular month, etc., etc. So. I think it's been like that for a few weeks now. I think.
Yeah. What you might find fairly common is when you get into the trade and you're in for a sell, it's not uncommon for price to go against you initially,
Mm.
um, and then start to go in your favour. It more than 50% of the time it looks as if it's going the wrong way, and then it changes its mind and goes away. But
It looks like what they try and do is when it particular goes a particular way, it looks like they, if it's dropping with some of the larger candles, it's like they want to wipe out um, or cover with the size of the candle and the wick. They're covering the uh, fair value gaps.
that's right. Yeah, that's right. That's why Paul was, well, he was using the fair value gap, but it's the same thing. This trade I'm in at the minute, it was heading downwards. It got me in the trade, and then the next two candles were upward green candles, and now we're in a second red candle. So it's going in my favor. It's just gone against me for the first bit, and
Yeah,
um, this is when you've got to, well, this is when you've got to be brave and just say, I'm still content that, we're below the red trend line. We are the moving averages are 262.13. We've still got the red wave candles. So everything's signifying we should be good to stay in for a sell. It just,
yeah,
as you say, there's not a lot of movement. That was the first trade, and I've been here over an hour. That that
yeah.
is that is unusual.
It's a bit moving a bit now. Looks like it.
Yeah, well, I'm in profit now. I'm
Yeah,
0.3 pips in profit. So let's hope it continues downwards. Um, so the only thing we haven't covered is the I've right clicked on the chart, and I've got the expert list. I'm ignoring that. I'm going to the indicator list, and I'm clicking on that, and you've got a little pop up, and it's got show pips, moving average, moving average, moving average. There's nothing wrong there. The high can actually smooth. I've got two versions. I don't need to. I just going to delete one of them. And then I'm going to WAE. I'm going to double click on that, and so the values on there as they came out of the box. We're back to 85 on the inputs. You can change the colors as I did last week or
yeah.
Tuesday. I I I'm sure there is a way to keep these. If there isn't, we can ask Oliver to put a default in. So I go for a white thicker line right there. So I've got a white thicker line, and I've got leaving that orange, but I'm making it thicker. And then I'm saying, okay, but there must be a way, or there should be a way to save that. You don't want to be changing it every 5 minutes.
No,
So
no.
I've got the white line there, and it's clear that the histogram is well below the explosion line, which is why we're struggling to get any movement. But
Yeah.
we are in profit. We're 0.5 of a pip in profit. We really need it to go to 6 pips, is it?
Yeah, it will be.
We need it to get down here. There's a red line there showing me how far we've got to go. But anyway, we've achieved something, because on the last session you didn't have a working chart, and now you've got a working chart.
Yeah, I have, and I'm going to have the other three. I'm going to do this today. I'm going to have all the other three, make sure they're all there and where they need to be.
Yeah,
And then I know how to deactivate them if I need to. So I'll be testing four out, one in the morning, and the other four, because I'll deactivate the other three for the morning
yeah,
session, and then I'll do that. I'll use the other four in the afternoon, see just to see where it goes.
yeah. I would test, just test the hell out of it and see what you're comfortable with.
I've got
I
an idea where I want to be with it. With the, I'm debating whether to the 0.25%, whether to make that 0.5% and one.
Yeah,
Because
that's
I
fine.
don't want to be in, I don't want to be in no more than, because what I'm doing is I'm trying to relate this to a funded account on how I want to be. So I'm just debating whether to, because I don't want to be in no more than really one trade at a time. I don't need to be in. I don't need to make that sort of, what I want out of it, what percentage I need to make out of it is quite probably easy to do within a trade or so. Once I've
Yeah.
made my hypothetically 2%, I'm happy. I'm not interested any more than that, really.
No, I agree. That's where I'm coming from. I'm not interested in not interested in being in four trades at any one time. That really is a bit of a no-no. And even two is not really my style. I prefer to be in one trade. If I lose that trade, then I'll go into another one. Um,
Yeah,
but I don't really want to be in two. And if I am in two, I want them to be opposites.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so I
Oh,
like,
that's the way I've been thinking about it, and the way I want to go with it.
yeah,
I'm getting there slowly, but it's now I've got these on there. That just I say I'm going to sort all this out this afternoon. I'm staying here till I've done it all.
yeah.
Um, now I know. We've got it all on there, so I can follow anything back anyway to get where
Yeah.
I need to be.
Well, we've made some progress this week, so hopefully there'll be people watching the recording, and they'll be able to get in the
When, do
same
you know when
situation.
the final version, when the final sort of version comes out?
Yeah,
Will the settings that you're making on it, will they already be built into it?
yeah. Oliver will take my settings and make them defaults, but you'll still be able to change them if you're not happy with my
Yeah.
settings. But mine will be, well, the one that Oliver gives you will be based on mine, and
Yeah.
that will be based on my experience testing. But I'm not going to be saying everybody must stick to my settings because that's it's a personal choice. You might want to take more risks, but um,
How close are you finding it to your system, your manual system you've been using for a long time?
there's one or two minor niggles. Like, I don't know if you're still looking at my screen or not, but
Yeah.
we've got two white vertical lines, we've got two green vertical lines, and that has produced two trend lines, two red trend lines. And I don't like that. I like straightforward. Um, I want to get rid of those duplication, but they're just niggles. They're not important to the training. The trading really, we get in there based on,
Are you finding the number of trades and the successes is very similar to the manual?
it's very similar. Yeah, yeah. The good thing about this is it will get you into a trade slightly earlier than you would if you were trading manually, because it doesn't take. When I was trading manually, there's always a pause before I get into a trade because I've got to think it through. Whereas with this, it's already thought it through. The computer has already done it. It's just waiting
Yeah.
for the last piece of the jigsaw, and it said, right, I've now got all the ducks in a row, and it instantly gets you in, and it can make you. That can be the difference between winning 2% and not winning 2% kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get that.
So it gets you in.
I've been noticing. I have noticed that.
Yeah. And against that, there's the fact that um, because I've been trading manually for so long, you get a gut feeling sometimes, and that you cannot put that into a computer program. Um, sometimes it's just it, we used to talk about how do you feel about this trade, and it's something you can't really explain. It's just sometimes there's something that puts you off getting in a trade, and sometimes but it works the other way because sometimes your emotions can get you into trade that you shouldn't be getting into a trade. And the good thing about this EA or TA, whatever you want to call it, is there's no emotion in it.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a matter of fact. It is the criteria have been met. End of. There's
yeah,
no
yeah.
discussing it. It's met your criteria, mate. So it's going in. That's it. You know.
And
Um,
you can amend it to however you want to as well, can't you? You've still got
well, that's
the
right. Yeah,
things to
yeah.
suit you.
That's exactly why I'm I've been testing it for what 2 months now. Seems a hell of a long time, but I'm getting to the point where I'm comfortable with it. I still got one or two tweaks, and then as time goes by, the markets might change, and like we used to talk about 1 till 3, and we now talk about 1 to 4, and that's the market that's changed. But I
Yeah.
have the ability to change with the market using this. So I think I think personally, I will still continue to trade manually when I'm at the charts. But this is great. I mean, I took a few days off last week, and I was still winning trades even though I wasn't watching the charts, and that's a great thing to be able to do.
What are you trading manually? Do you still work on your charts with 2 minutes or 1 minute?
I've converted to 1 minute now, just so that I'm comparing like with
Funny
like.
enough, you said that because all my other charts I got set up was set up at 2 minutes using the manual strategy that you have been using. I've changed them all to 1 minute today,
Yeah, yeah.
just because it's so comparable with this new A. See, just to
Well,
see.
yeah, that's right. I mean, what you can do, you can put trading view. Let me just see how I did that. I shrunk this chart down because I'm on screen share. I can't do it. I reduced this chart down. Let me see if I can do that. Right, so I don't think you may not be able to see, but I've just reduced the chart down to take up sort of half the screen, and I could
Yeah,
put my trading view chart for this pair alongside it or behind it, and I can actually, if I'm on the same time frame, I can compare what's going on, and I can make a judgment whether I would get in or not if I was trading manually. So
yeah,
maybe I'll do that on the next session. I'll maybe set everything up so that you can see everything. Um, I don't know what's happened there. Let me go back to where I was. You probably lost sight of my chart, but anyway, it's
yeah.
20 past 2, so I'm going to call it a day. Um,
Okay.
Let me know if you find any issues,
Yeah,
when
I'm
you,
going to go through everything again. I'm going to go through the recording again. I'm going to just make sure my settings are okay,
yeah,
and then put the other three on there, addition to that, and then I should be good to go. And then I'll start testing again
yeah,
Monday. There's one or two things I want to adjust on it as well, but I know where to go now, so
yeah.
I shall be busy for today, and then I'll probably over the weekend just to get it all right.
Okay. Yeah, well, good luck
So
with it.
thanks for that. Thanks for that, Richard. Great.
We'll have a good weekend. We'll take it a little bit further on Tuesday.
All right, Richard. Thanks so much. Have a good weekend.